Bryce, I'm glad we were able to set up this Lendr demo. I love when you hop on, show me some of the upgrades that you have. There's so many folks in the Hard Money Mastermind group, and there's just so many private lenders from all over the place that you've onboarded over the past few years. So definitely looking forward to some of the upgrades that Lendr Software has to offer.
I love it. Let's get into it. Okay. So first things first, you've probably seen this screen before, but we have added a couple of new things. So this is the dashboard. Obviously just a bunch of high level data and metrics kind of on your portfolio. And this is our actual portfolio. So it shows you, kind of where we're at, but you've got some nice things like lender revenue broken down month by month. You can see outstanding, total capital, your capital churn, like how frequently we're able to cycle through these loans. And then you can see some other stuff, your property type allocation. So this is cool because you can see we're like 70% single family home. And then we've got developed land, some commercial, some raw land, just, some nice graphs here. Recently we've added these two down here, which people love. The capital forecast is really cool because one thing that a lot of people ask and say is like, I don't really know like what's coming back or when, and like, do I have too much cash and not enough deals or vice versa? So this is cool because like if I hover over any of these, it's probably a little small, but you can see I've got all of these loans paying off and maturing over the next little bit. And so you can see this apex of where they cross. And so, come end of December, I'm going to have way more capital than I do have deals because that yellow line is in my pipeline. So, a lot of people really like that graph. That's pretty cool. Yeah. The other thing that people really like is this application pipeline. So you can see like, so in the month of October, we brought in 7 applications. We only closed 2 of them. So, just lots of customization, and all of these cards and widgets you can add and remove and reorder and change. And, so some people customize it if they have like a specific dashboard for their CFO, or then they have a different dashboard for like, their processor.
The capital available is a really good one. And yeah, I know from experience from back in the day, I know a lot of folks that have, that especially if they're doing like direct placement, hey, when do I have capital coming back? Or when
exactly,
how much do I have? What's paying off soon? Because right now, most people just do that on a Google sheet, or they'll do it. Even if they're using software, they'll typically track that on a Google sheet or on a whiteboard. So
this is cool too, because it's a little bit more dynamic than that, right? Because we have 2 fields. So when somebody submits a loan application, they'll say, what is your estimated completion date, which is different than your maturity date? Because some people will say, okay, it's a 12-month maturity or a 12-month term on this loan. But some people are like, it's literally, I just have to go in, I have to clean it out, and then I'm going to throw it back up on the market. I truly just need the funds for 4 months. So it's not going to show 12 months out. It's going to show 4 months out because that's what the estimated completion date is. So it's a little bit more smart than that. And also, we also realize that loans never, ever, ever, ever pay off on time when they say they will. And so the system's smart enough to project it out. And if it passes it, then it continues to move it forward and move it forward. So it's smarter than a Google Sheet for sure. There's also a document portal. So this basically just acts as like your Google Drive, essentially. So borrowers will upload documents and they all live right here. And then the nice thing is these are basically static. So once you have a borrower's driver's license, you don't need it again. It just copies from every loan, if it's a repeat borrower. That's really nice. Payments, kind of self-explanatory. We have an ACH integration built in. And so payments, you just auto draft it from the borrower's bank account, and then it'll deposit right into your bank account. And then you can see if a payment has been paid, if it's unpaid, if it's failed, if it's late, etc. So you can also pull credit right through the system. This is just a soft pull, but this isn't an additional cost. It's just included in the platform. So you can pull credit on whatever borrower you want. And I really like this because you can see kind of their trend over time. So he was at a 650, he was at a 710, now he's down to a 600, now he's at a 660. So it's just kind of nice to see like what is going on with this guy. So, and then it also shows, any outstanding mortgages. He doesn't have any, outstanding auto loans, student loans, revolving credit, which typically is credit cards. And you've got collections, bankruptcy, foreclosure, and repos as well. So
nice.
Yeah. For some lenders, this is not sufficient. We have people who want to do like a full hard pull, and then, they can use a credit vendor outside of the system, but that's all baked in if you want. A lot of people really just care about like, does this guy have a 400 or does he have a 700? And for the most part, that's what most people are looking at. So
real quick So this guy, Tyler Jones, is obviously the contact, the borrower, and then each deal he does, let's say he does them under different business entities.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So you have all the entities there, and then under overview, is that where you show every deal that he's done or is doing or in the process of doing?
Correct. Yep. So this guy, we find that most borrowers have multiple entities. Like he's got one LLC for his flipping company and he's got another LLC for his wholesaling company. And so you can mix and match and do loans that way. But here on the overview, yeah, these are all the loans that are tied to him personally.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So the other thing that people really like is we have the ability to impersonate a borrower, meaning I can physically log in as this borrower and see what he sees. So for example, if he were to log in, this is what he would see. So all of his action items and tasks are over here on the right side. So he needs to submit an update. He needs to submit a scope of work. And he's also got some documents that are missing for this Halsey Street property. And so he can come in here and he can submit a new loan application. This is what it looks like. He would select his entity from the dropdown, so I would select this particular LLC, and then he can upload pictures, put in the property address, select the property type. It's a single family home. Is this going to be an investment or is it going to be a primary residence? Most of the time we do this just so it'll flag it. We want to catch borrowers who are trying to kind of sneak some stuff by us. And so we leave that as an option, but most people are like, why would we even have that as an option? It's saved us on numerous occasions. So, this is our default application, but you can customize this to your heart's content. We have some people who add, 15 additional questions. And they'll say, what's your cash on hand? Give me the contact to your general contractor. I also want an alternative contact, whatever you want, you can add to this and it'll just, request it from them on the loan application.
What do you think in general? And this is kind of a selfish question. What do you think in general for repeat borrowers? Do you think that they like to go in here and fill out for their new deals or just pick up the phone and call you? I'm just curious. Cool.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Usually, honestly, it's both. Most of the time, a borrower will still call me regardless and say, hey, I've got this new deal, and we talk through it. And then I'll say, okay, cool, go submit an application.
Got it.
But I will have this on my website, and it helps me sift through a lot of the junk because then I don't have to talk to a borrower if I know they're instantly disqualified. So the other day, for example, I had a borrower who they submitted an application on our website. Before even talking to them, I went and pulled their credit, and they were at like a 480. And I was like, okay, this is not going to work no matter what. Like you could have all the collateral in the world. I'm like, I don't like this one. And so we just said, nope, sorry, it doesn't work for us. Then I don't have to waste my time with the borrower on the phone.
Yeah. So, no, I think it's a good option. I think it's a good option for them to have it. And I would guess that your repeat borrower clients convert high because you see Holbrook Capital right there. You're whoever the lender is, you see the lending company right there. Everything's kind of there. You almost teach them to hey, upload your scope of work here, upload your draw request here. When you have the next deal, put that in here as well.
Yep. Yeah. And say on the other side of it, we do have borrowers who they've been through it. We've done 15 loans with them. They get it and they go in, they submit it. They don't even talk to me. And then at that point, after I review it, I'll be like, this one doesn't really work for us. Or yeah, that's great. Let's get your documents and we'll move over to funding and we'll get rolling. So similarly with that, this is what the document portal looks like. So any outstanding documents that the borrower needs to upload will show up here. So for example, he's got a purchase agreement for Crestmont Avenue that needs to be uploaded. And so it's missing. He would just come here and click upload, drag, drop, and then you'll get an alert that says, hey, FYI, you have, a new purchase agreement for Crestmont Avenue. And then from there, you can either approve it or you can reject it, add some notes, say why it was rejected, whatever you need to do. And it just all lives right there. And you also kind of mentioned this as well, but we do have the ability to do draw requests right through the system. I'll show you this in kind of a more detailed view a little bit later, but borrowers can go into their portal and submit draw requests right through here, which makes it really easy.
Nice.
So, okay, let me show you investors now too. So investors work in a very similar manner, but let me come in here to Marilyn, for example. She's one of our investors. This is what she will see when she logs in. So she can see her current outstanding balance. She can see her available capital, which right now is nothing because she's invested in all of these deals. This is her outstanding capital. This is her annualized return. This is her pending interest. And this is her lifetime interest. And then she can also see, these are all of the deals that I'm invested in. With the property addresses, the actual physical dollar amounts, I can see, what dates she was invested in, at what rate, and what interest she's earned. So in addition to this, the system will also send out monthly interest statements or investor statements just as a PDF if you want to do that too. But we found that a lot of investors don't want to wait until the 1st of the month or the 10th of the month. They can come in here anytime and see what's going on. So pretty handy. Along with that, they can also see line by line by line down to the penny. Where's my money at? Like what has happened? So you can see, we earned some interest and then some principal was repaid and then we paid out some principal, then interest, repayment, whatever. So if there's ever a question or discrepancy, you can see that right here. The other thing is there's also a document section for the investors themselves. So the system will generate those monthly statements that I talked about and they'll auto upload them and they'll live right here in the file. So if there's ever a question, then go back and look at what was my account balance on, back in August, and they can see that. I also upload all of their tax statements. So their 1099s will all live here because without fail, every single April, without fail, we have an investor say, hey, I need my 1099. And I'll say, it's been in your portal since January. So just, go snag it. So this is really nice to keep everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 1090. So the software does all 1099s and 1098s.
It does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's really good. And then, do the 1098s go into the borrower portal or no?
Yep, absolutely.
And then, so the 1099 ones, they, as a lender or user of this, do I have to go in and initiate that, or is it just kind of automatically happen?
Yep. So good question. So I would come here to reports, and then I would come down to like my 1099 or my 1098 tax report. And so again, these are all my investors and the amount of interest that they have earned over the course of the year. And if I'm curious, I'm like, did he really make $3,000? That doesn't sound right. I can expand this out and I can see, oh, that's right. He earned this much from this loan, this loan, this loan. Okay. Yeah, that does sound right. And then I would come here and say, generate 1099s. When I do that, it will generate the PDFs and spit it out to all the different borrowers and investors. But what it does not do is it does not do the automatic e-file with the IRS. And so we use, just like you guys do, the track 1099. And so I would come here and I would say export and I would do the detailed report. And then I would upload that to track 1099, which I think is $2.50 per report. It's very inexpensive. And then I just do it that way. So like quite literally my taxes are done in minutes. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, no, our process is actually harder than that because
okay.
Because I got to take it out of TMO. It's harder for us to take it out of TMO. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Literally I click on this button and here's my PDFs. I'm good to go.
And wait, do you use track 1099 to send it to them, or you don't need to send it to them because it's in here?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, exactly. See,
so I just do it for the IRS reporting.
Yeah. See, we don't. We send it to them because there's no way for them to get it if we don't send it to them. So I have to use track 1099 for that. So I got to export the data, put it into that, and it's not the end of the world, but like this is just easy.
Extra steps. Yeah.
Yeah, this is easy.
Right. So.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's and keep in mind, like this is something that. If you're smaller, you don't have a loan servicing software. Like you're, for the most part, probably not going to do this yourself. Most people just hit up their accountant and say, here are all my numbers. Can you handle this for me? Because you're set up to do that. I'm not.
Well, we had, I asked somebody the other day because they're like, oh yeah, my CPA handles all that. And I was like, well, what do they charge to generate that? And they're like, yeah, like $500 per. And I was like, are you kidding? If you have 100 investors, that adds up real fast. You can cover the whole cost of the software with just that.
Yeah.
So
no, we typically have 750 1099s, 1098s that I got to send out a year. Yeah. Ours doesn't cost that because we have it built in with that. But like in essence, we use track 1099 and stuff like that because like exporting it out, I can get for free. It just is not as simple as yours.
As automated for sure. Okay, let's get into like some more fun stuff with actual loans. So this is our origination pipeline. So anytime a new application comes in here, it's going to come to this new application column. And then obviously I can take these and I can kind of drag and drop them in my different columns as it goes throughout my process. We find that a lot of lenders have different needs and requirements. Like some lenders have 16 different columns and they're like, okay, I sent the term sheet. Okay, the term sheet came back signed. Okay, I submitted for appraisal. Okay, the appraisal came back signed. I'm not that fancy. I just have 4 columns. Like it's basically new, underwriting, on hold, or ready to close. But you can build it out and be as granular as you want. The other thing that you can do is you can build different automations for different stages to have different triggers. So for example, whenever I move a loan from new application over to underwriting, it automatically sends an email to my title company and say, hey, please open title for 123 Main Street. It's done. So all of this repetitive stuff that you just like are manual, like you don't have to do it anymore. The other thing that we'll do is we'll send a text out to the borrower that says, hey, congratulations, your loan is in underwriting status. And you don't have to like go to Twilio and sign up for text API, like none of that. Like you sign up for Lendr and you can send text. That's it. You don't have to do anything. It's just easy.
You mean all the stuff that I'm building out in Go High Level? I don't need to
exactly.
So, and you said you can add whatever columns you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So like I could add edit my pipeline, and let's say I want to say like, I don't know, we'll just call it term sheet, and I'll make the color red, and I'll add the column, and I'll put it right here before underwriting, and I'll say save. Cool. Now I have a term sheet column, and I can just move it here. So yeah.
How easy is it to set up the automation with like the text message, like you said, or the email?
Sure. Yeah. So I'd come here and I'd say automations, and I would create an automation, and I'd say text to Jason. And I would say, okay, when the loan goes into term sheet status, I'll add an action, and I'll say send a text, and we can send it to the borrower, or we can send it to a custom number, and we just put it in.
Excellent.
And we'll say, hey, your loan at, and then you can put in variables too. So property address, and you can do like a short, which is just the address, or you could do like property address and do the full thing. Your loan is currently in term sheet status or whatever. And then when I say save, like I don't have to do anything. It's done.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, and then I can come and turn these on and off however I want. Some people will have one trigger. So they'll say, okay, when it moves into term sheet status, do 3 things simultaneously. I don't need 3 different automations. I have one automation, but with 3 different actions. So I can send a text, send an email, send a webhook, create an action item, create a to-do list item, whatever you want. You can do as many as you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause most people don't need anything super built out, but some of the basic stuff, like just send them a text, send them an email, things like that. Yeah.
Yep. And this is exactly what we use to like create text to our investors to say, hey, you earned this much, or, FYI, this much is on the way. Like it's done for you.
Got it. Awesome. So, yeah, that's cool.
Very similarly too. So like we send out term sheets to all of our borrowers before we even start underwriting. I want to see like, look, how committed are you? So I'll come here and I'll say send term sheet. And within 3 seconds, I've got my term sheet ready to go. Again, this is the default like lender term sheet layout, but if you don't like it, you customize it. It's really easy to do. So I go through and I look at all the numbers. It's got the borrower's name. It's got the property address. It says, okay, you're going to have to bring 60 grand to closing plus loan fees. You're going to be roughly 70,000 out of pocket. Does that sound good? Yep. Okay. And then I send them this via DocuSign. It automatically emails it to them. They sign it, and then it just automatically comes back and uploads to the loan file. So I'm not like shuffling around PDFs or any, like just once it's signed, it just is done for you.
Do you want to talk about some of the document management now, or are you going to get to that? Because sure. This is a big thing that a lot of lenders struggle with. They'll use other softwares that are challenging, or they'll band-aid some stuff themselves. What type of customization and flexibility do they have with some of these docs? Yeah,
great question. So are we talking about document collection or document generation?
Probably generation.
Okay, perfect. So inside of Lendr, and honestly, this was actually the inception of Lendr. This is why Lendr was even built in the first place, because I got tired of just generating the same documents over and over and over again. So what you would do is you would come here and say, generate loan docs. And then we give you, there's probably 2 dozen different like default templated documents. So like an ACH authorization or a credit authorization, or something more complicated, like an extension agreement, or maybe a loan doc package with a mortgage. So let's say, for example, I want to generate my loan docs. I would come here and say generate. And again, within just a couple seconds, it spits out my loan doc package all ready to go. So this has my instruction letter to title. It has all of our different fees that we charge. We net fund our wires. So I tell them exactly the net funded dollar amount that they're going to be receiving. And then on top of that, it also generates the promissory note for me. It generates my deed of trust, because we're in a deed state. It generates the personal guarantee, my high cost loan disclosure, my balloon payment acknowledgement, my commercial purpose affidavit, like whatever documents is in your standard template. We just put those in the system, we templatize them, and then you can generate as many of them as you want.
Got it. Let's back up to like a term sheet and maybe like a pre-approval letter, like something basic. Let's say they're already doing loan docs, with an attorney, and they don't need, that's up to them. If they choose to do it this way, they can. Like, let's go into like term sheet. Like, and sure. I just want to see how easy it is to edit, because that's a big challenge that I think a lot of folks have, is they want to edit their stuff quickly. And the language that a lot of servicing softwares use, or origination softwares use, are it's challenging to do that. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, you bet. So I would come here to documents and then document templates. And then again, this list over here on the left side are all the different, like just sample ones that we've given you that you're welcome to use, or you can upload your own. So like term sheet, for example, this is the default term sheet that I already showed you. And it shows, this is an example. But if I want to edit this, I click on edit. And then this is the editing window. So you can see, like, let's say I want to have my logo added in the top right corner. Cool. I say Lendr logo extra small. And then a lot of people are like, okay, well, I don't even know what the names of the different tags are. Like, how am I going to find that? Cool. You just click up here and here's my tag library. So this window slides out. And let's say, for example, I need the borrower's first name. I would select borrower. I'd say, do I want their full name? No. Do I want their first? Oh yeah, their first name. So I would click on this and then I could come in here wherever I want. And I don't know why I'd want it up here, but you could put borrower's first name right here and say save and preview. And now it's going to say loan term sheet, John.
Yeah.
So you just drag and drop the different tags. Again, this looks kind of funny. You would never put it up there, but just to illustrate the example. But yeah, you just go and grab whatever tags you want. And then the other thing that I should mention is this does admittedly intimidate a lot of people. And so we do it for you. That's kind of part of the onboarding process. You send us your documents, we ingest them into the system, we add all the tags for you, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, it kills me that these other companies make it very challenging to update anything simple. Like this is like, that's simple. And, and, I don't know what happens on the back end, on the coding side of this to make it simple, but it's
that piece is not simple. I guarantee it.
But it's front facing simple. And I think that's important because, people want to get onboarded and get up to bit, into business immediately. And I know too many lenders that have tried other, platforms and they're like, I can't send out a freaking term sheet. Like I can't send a pre-approval letter. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And like, I feel like I'm pretty techie and I'll sometimes help people. And I'm like, dude, I don't know either. Like, this is hard. Like it shouldn't be, this is easy. So I'm glad we just did a quick demo of that.
Yeah. Just drag and drop the different tags. And like admittedly, the term sheet has a lot more data than others do, but like an extension agreement, for example, like this one is very simple. So again, all these highlighted in yellow. So like if I want the borrower's full name in uppercase, cool. Then it shows John Smith right here in uppercase, or like, and people are like, okay, well, how do I add a sentence? All right, you just click in here and like, I am adding a sentence. It's like Word. You just type wherever you want, say save and preview. And then now you've got your text here that says, I am adding a sentence. So it's very, very straightforward. Admittedly, again, some people, it still is overwhelming. Don't worry about it. We take care of it for you.
Perfect. So, no, that's great.
Cool. Okay. Let's get into like the contents of a loan file and what that looks like. So, this is an actual loan file that we received the other day. So inside of this loan file, you can see obviously the property address up here. You can see the loan amount, the property type, the borrower's name, the loan product. You can set up different loan products in the system. For example, some people will have like a 12-2 product for their fix and flip, but they might have a 12-14 for ground up construction or whatever. You just set up different templates. You can have different fees, and then you would just select that. And then all of your fees, all of your items and term length and interest rate, everything just auto populates. And then two, if I need to, I can obviously override this on a case-by-case basis. So our typical is 3-14, but you guys are 3 and 12.99. So I would come in here and say 12.99, and it's already done, ready to go. Say, for example, I don't want to do 12 months for some reason, I could do 9. Or maybe I want to do fully amortized loan. Cool, I could do it that way too. So the system is really easy to just customize and change whatever you need.
Yeah, so that's great.
We've also got like extension fees, for example. So this is a 9-month loan. So my maturity date is August 21st of 26. On August 22nd of 26, because I have an extension fee configured, it's just going to automatically tack on an extension fee and continue to do so every 90 days until the loan is paid off. So just a lot of these automatic things that like you don't even have to think about. You'll get an email that says, hey, an extension fee was added. You can change, maybe you have like a prepayment penalty. You can add that here. If you want to calculate your interest differently, you just select it here. So all these settings are really easy to customize and change. This is kind of your underwriting section. So you can see this is the down payment amount. This is the LTV. So it's a little bit high for me. You can also see like the annualized ROI. You can see the cumulative LTV. This doesn't change because we don't have any cross collateral, but if I add cross collateral a little bit further down, all these numbers will change. So I focus on this panel and section a lot. We also have a payment collection here. So I would say, cool, I'm going to collect payments on this one. This is my first payment date. This is my prorated interest. It shows the number of payments I have remaining. I can configure late fees and late payment percentages. Anything you want, you can customize and change here. So
Sweet.
Cross collateral you could add here. This is what I was talking about before. So like I selected primary residence, which we do not do. And so it flags, it says, hey, FYI, we strongly recommend you don't do this. Oh, I did talk to the borrower. Okay, it is actually an investment property. Cool. Let me change that. So really easy to customize. Along with that, we
real quick, that data below that, did that auto populate from public records or did they put that in themselves? Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the legal description, the parcel number, yes, all that stuff auto-populated. The bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, square feet, all that the borrower entered. But I can choose what data does or does not populate from public record too. So, yeah. This is our document checklist. A lot of people ask about this. Basically, any loan document that needs to be in the file will show here. And then as I add and upload documents, or as the borrower uploads documents, this will change from saying missing to completed. So let's say I come in here to my loans. These are all of my different documents. If I say, okay, this is my, this is my loan document. If I now come back here to my overview tab, my loan documents is now marked as completed. So basically I just know once this whole list is green, I've got all the documents that I need for the file. I'm good. I'm set. I can move it over into servicing.
Got it.
So, yeah. Again, so documents all live here. These are my investors. So I can add and say which investors are funding which sections of the loan. So I could say, I'm going to pay this investor and he's going to put in, $25,000 on the loan. And I can mix and match and say, okay, these are all my investors on the loan. Right now you can see, okay, it's a $300,000 loan right here. I've allocated 25,000, 275 is left to be allocated. And I can mix and match and pay different investors, different interest rates and whatever you want. So, yeah. If you have a fund, you won't have this tab because you just have one funding source. And so there's no need to even have it here. But a lot of people really like this. This is huge because the system just calculates it for you. This guy had 25,000 at 9% from this date to this day. This is the amount of interest that he's owed. Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, did you have a question? I didn't want to.
No. Keep going. I'm just reading it all on the screen.
Charges, pretty self-explanatory. These are any fees that you have. So, we have our origination fee, our doc prep fee, recording fee, whatever fee you want to add in here, legal fee, broker fee, application fee, junk fee, commitment fee, whatever you want to call it. All this can show up and live here. The nice thing too, is I did not have to add these fees. These are all part of my loan product. So you set up your fees that you charge typically on every single loan. And then when that loan application comes in, all of these fees just populate and automatically get added into here. So
really I was going to ask that. And then you can edit it after that individually.
Totally.
Though, if you want.
Yeah. So maybe I want to change this and say, okay, actually we're going to charge $795. Cool. Done. And so now instead of $495, now it's $795. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Payments. This is our payment schedule too. So again, this is auto-generated automatically by the system based on the terms and the parameters that we set on the other page. But you can see here, $300,000 loan amount, 12.99% interest, 360-day interest calculation over 30 days. This is what their monthly payment is going to be. So, but if I wanted to, I could come here and say, 12%, and I'm going to do this on a 12-month term. And then my payments will be a lot more uniform. It'll just be a set $3,000 a month.
Got it.
Let me also go over the scope and draws, but let me show you a different loan that kind of illustrates this a little bit better. So this is a loan that we funded. It's actually really cool. It's a new construction barn dominium that we funded that looks like this. The project's just about wrapped up, but I still use it as a good illustration. So if I look at this, my original loan amount was $350,000. My original holdback was $350,000. And so on day one, when we funded the loan, we gave them nothing because they're just going to take draws for all of this. So what we do is the borrower goes into their portal and they fill out this scope of work. And so they say, okay, I need 30,000 for concrete. I need 15 for doors, 7 for the driveway, 15 for electrical. They fill all of this out. And then you can see here, our line items all add up to 350,000. And then once the loan is funded, then they can come and submit draws right through their portal. So you can see I've approved some, I've rejected some. I reject a lot of draw requests because they don't submit pictures, they don't upload receipts, they don't upload lien waivers. And so I reject it and say, no, I'm not going to give you funding until I see pictures. And so when that happens, this is what a draw request looks like. So I'll come in here and I can see, okay, they submitted a draw request for $27,000. I approved this draw request back in June. I can also see the pictures of the, the progress and how it's moving along. So I can say, okay, cool. They've got some framing and they're working on some interior insulation. And then I can also come here and see the receipts and lien waivers. I also require them to upload a description, like what is this for? And then they also have to come in here and say which line items they're requesting it from. So they're requesting $1,000 from their framing budget. They're requesting $4,000 from their windows and door budget, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. All that adds up to $27,000. And then again, I can come here and approve it entirely, or I could say, just kidding, we're going to give you 20,000 instead of 27. So you have full autonomy over what you do or don't fund. So,
yeah, nice.
Like this makes our lives so much easier. Draw requests are a breeze. I literally just come in here and say approve. I send them the money and it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay, let me show you a couple more things and then we'll wrap it up. I don't want to talk your ear off, but let me show you our public data section, which is pretty kick-ass. So this is a loan that we funded the other day. This is what the public data tab looks like. So some of the data that I referred to before, like the parcel number, the legal description, all of that gets populated from this data. So I've got some metrics around like what the estimated value is on the low end, the medium, and then the high. And then I can also see parcel number. I can see the subdivision. I can see the last time this property was sold. I can see the current property owner. I can see tax assessed values and property tax values. And then in my opinion, the coolest part is it automatically generates comps for you from public data. And so I can see all of the recent solds within a specific radius, so these are all within a mile radius for the most part. And if I scroll down here further, I can see where they're all at on a map. So I, sometimes will come in here and be like, this is not necessarily a good comp because it's on the other side of the train tracks and it's kind of ghetto. So I might come up here and, delete this one because it's not a good comp. Okay, that one's gone. And so now all of my numbers readjust. I like that value a lot more, like 425. It's a little bit more accurate.
Yep.
So this is huge, 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 huge. People love this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then they can do that. Can they do that before, as soon as you're in like the origination phase, you can do that. It doesn't have to be a loan that's already.
Yeah, you can do this at any point. So whether it's in origination or servicing, most people will do it in origination as they're like helping with their underwriting. But sometimes I forget and like I'll have funded this loan 60 days ago. And I was like, oh, I'm curious what the public data says. And then I'll go back and rerun it. So you can do it either or.
Got it. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
One last thing, as far as like the loan files go, that's really cool. We recently added this investor opportunity section. People love this. Love, love, love. So this section here is where you can basically advertise, hey, I'm looking for funding for this deal. So this was a loan that we funded. And I can come in here and I can build a listing that is public facing to my investors, and they can look at pictures. They can look at the dollar amounts that I'm looking to raise. They can see like a loan summary. They can see, okay, it's a 12-month term. We're going to pay you 10%. This is the loan amount. This is borrower's credit score. They can also see documents that I select, just the specific ones I choose to select that they can see. And it also builds a investment summary for them. So I didn't have to write any of this. AI automatically wrote this so my investors can read through and see, okay, this is the property address. This is my LTV and my risk analysis. This is the borrower's exit strategy. And this is the conclusion.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So this is awesome. And on top of that, a lot of people will be like, well, my investors are not going to do this. They're not going to come into the portal and look at these things. Cool. I can come in here and edit, and I can come down here and I can say save and notify investors. And then I can choose, do I want to blast this out via email to all of my investors, or I just want to send it to Aaron and Becky? Cool. And I save and notify. It'll email them directly out of the system, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to notify Aaron and Becky, but
that's awesome.
Yeah. So people love this.
I can see if people are out there trying to raise capital, that could be a good solution. What are some of the reports that you have that I saw in the top right?
Sure. So I'll show you a couple that I love. So
some popular ones.
Yeah. So like this charges report, I think is really cool. Mainly because I like to see how much did I bring in origination fees? How much did I bring in extension fees? I like to see like, oh, cool. Like we collected $900 in NSF fees. The other thing is I like, just because it's got pretty colors and I'm a child, and so it's really easy to see. We brought in, or we created $21,000 in charges, but we collected 19.7. So that's kind of nice to see here. And then if you really want to, you can see the individual breakdown broken down by loan, and then you can filter by date and range and borrower and loan and charge type and all that kind of stuff. So this is really cool. So a lot of people like this. Another report that I really like is the capital raise over time. It's kind of nice just to see, like, as you're raising capital, like how am I doing? So this time last year we were sitting around like 1.5, 1.7, but then over time, like, we've raised a bunch. This graph is not really representative because I've kind of moved some funds around, and anyway, it looks like we have a big dip, but anyway, it's still nice. You can see as borrowers request money back, or as you raise money, how am I looking? So a lot of people like this. Probably another one, I already showed you, like the 1099 and 1098s, but a big one, probably my favorite one, is this insurance expiry report.
Okay.
A lot of people, myself included, just hate dealing with insurance. It's just kind of a pain, and then we have to track it and do all those things. I don't really worry about it anymore. So inside of the borrower's portal, they have a field where they upload proof of insurance. So they'll go in, they'll upload proof of insurance. AI goes out and scans that file, and it pulls out the expiration date on that policy and just records it in the system. And so 30 days before, 14 days before, and then the date that it actually expires, it'll send both you and the borrower an email saying, hey, FYI, your insurance is expiring soon. And then again at 14 days, then when it expires. And then at that point, you go get forced placed insurance, and that's kind of on you to handle. But again, it's automatic, it's done. So I can see out for the next 12 months, all of my different borrowers and what the different expiration dates are on their policies.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
So huge.
Yeah. Any other things that, like, some of your bigger users are using that maybe we didn't talk about that, are pretty cool?
Yeah. Let me show you payments. This is kind of self-explanatory, but this is my aggregate payment view. So again, when you're just dealing with a ton of payments coming in, you don't have to deal with Nacha files anymore. We just do it for you. We process these payments. They automatically come in. When they bounce, or for whatever reason they fail, it'll tell you why it failed. So this one failed due to insufficient funds. And then again, I don't have to go and add an NSF fee. The system just does it. I don't have to go and add a late fee. The system just does it. I don't have to add an extension fee. The system just does it based on the dates and the different things that you've set up. So this is really big. Kind of the last thing I'll show you is we recently added, this was actually after the most recent mastermind, here under alerts, you can now text investors automatically when they earn interest. So this was like a big topic of discussion. So we kind of added that. So you can now automatically text them when they earn interest, and you could also text them when an earnings distribution is initiated or paid out. So
perfect.
People love this. There's tons more, and like I won't bore you with all the other stuff, but like this is kind of some of the newer stuff that we've been working on and cooking for the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so intuitive. I mean, I can tell you from experience, being around and seeing all the softwares around over the last almost 20 years in this lending business, like this thing's got all the bells and whistles. And, besides just having all of it, it's just so easy to use. I mean, it's, the real estate business in general is like a dinosaur. Like everything,
it's archaic.
Everything is. And, so it's great to have like something that's refreshing, that's like really, really easy to understand. So you don't have to worry about the books. You don't have to worry about the origination stuff, the servicing stuff. It makes it so much easier just having one system in place that can handle all of this stuff, and you can go find good deals and go raise capital, because that's what the business is about.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things that I feel like everything that I've gone through, they're like, hey, it'd be cool if it has this. Well, it does. It'd be cool if it has this. Well, it does. And also, I can attest, from knowing you over the last few years now, is that like this thing is growing and growing and growing and growing. And as you're onboarding new users and bigger lenders in our space that require, other services, other tools, other reports, other options, you're able to put, code that and put that in place. And that's a huge plus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's definitely one of our like strategic advantages, is like we're small and we're scrappy and we're nimble and we can move fast. And like, for example, like this was very, very minimal, right? But for example, like I have Here at the very bottom, I have my deed of trust date, my instrument number, whatever, and they're just custom fields. So I can track different metrics on my loans. But the other day, someone was like, well, it's kind of annoying that like I can't just select the date. I have to like type in 2025 01 24. And so like, oh yeah, that's a really good suggestion. So now if I come here, I can now have different types on my custom fields. So I can say insurance date or whatever, and I can select it to be a date, and I can say update. And so now when I go to my loan file at the bottom, it's now an insurance date. And when I click on this, I can just do a date picker. Cool. So like very minimal, tiny stuff like that. But like all of this little stuff that people pick up on, they're like, it'd be great if it would do this. Okay, done. And that took an hour, and now it's done, and it's available for everybody.
I mean, that's important because every single lender's business is completely different. It just is. I mean, I know thousands of private lenders all over the country. You know, from talking to lots of folks in our mastermind group that everybody's set up slightly different. Slightly different, and be like, oh, it'd be cool if we have this, it'd be cool if we have this, it'd be cool like this. So being nimble and being able to add those things on the fly is very valuable to people. And
too, a lot of people will like, they will do, so like Go High Level, for example, Go High Level is so versatile, and you can do so, like, it's really cool. But a lot of people I find will start to use a CRM as an origination and servicing platform, and it does okay until you're like, man, it'd be really cool if this would talk to this, or if like the payment schedule would automatically, and then that's where it kind of starts to crumble and fall down. This is specifically designed for hard and private money lenders, not Fannie Freddie lenders, not doing lines of credit. It is specifically for our niche, our industry, our business. And we try to keep that in mind as we do it.
Yeah, that's right. And from, I know a lot of the clients that you work with, and some of them have gigantic funds, or some of them do direct placement at a very high scale. And some of them are just, mom and pop. They lend out their own money themselves. They're the only lender. And, they want a way to track all of this stuff in an organized manner instead of using Excel spreadsheets or mapping other stuff together. They want to keep it clean. So it works well. And I'm guessing, pretty much on a regular basis, you're going to continue to add to this as users, users suggestion, you run your business out of this as well. So
for sure,
and again, having a technology, having a software that's continuing to grow and evolve is so important, because I've been part of so many that are just kind of dying, and it's like, you're not putting any resources into growing this thing, and we're all evolving, through AI and other things. It's challenging when you're working with a software that's the case.
Yeah. Well, like, so for example, too, so like I don't know if you picked up on this on the last mastermind, but I feel like, for Casa was like kind of maybe not a big discussion, but like a bigger point of discussion. So we're working on like a For Casa integration, but 10 years ago, For Casa wasn't around. It didn't exist. And so there was no need for it, or like same thing with Lightning Docs. Like Lightning Docs is, a lot of people use Lightning Docs. It didn't exist 10 years ago. And so, like, yes, the mortgage industry is archaic, and admittedly, it kind of gets put on the back burner around tech. I don't know. We're trying to do it differently so that it does keep up pace with AI and everything else that's coming out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's gotta, and having one solution that you can accomplish so many things makes your life so much easier on stuff. I mean, personally, like, my biggest takeaway with the software in general is just it's just clean, and it's just easy. And it's like, you log into some softwares and you're like, well, where do I go just to process a payment, or to add a new borrower, or add a capital investor? How do I link this to that? Or add this document? Like, it's very, very clean. One other question that I saw earlier. So the loans all start in origination phase, and then I saw a button that says convert to servicing, or moved or transfer to servicing. Is that right? And then
correct.
That's the difference between loans you're working on and loans that are already closed.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So it's really easy. Basically, this is my origination phase. And then when it's good to go, I've got all my documents, everything I need, I just say move to servicing, and then it kicks it over into this view instead.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Every time I see a demo, it gets better and better and better. So it's, that's awesome. What's the best way for folks to reach out to you, if they're interested in kind of checking this out?
Yeah, probably just email Bryce at Join Lendr, and that's LENDR, joinlendr.com.
Perfect.
But yeah, we do demos all the time. A lot of people are like, well, I'd like to see how it works with my specific scenario and how it does this. So cool. Yeah. Let's jump on a call and we'll, put in a sample loan for you and kind of walk it through and show you how it works and operates. I probably do half a dozen demos a day. So happy to do that with you. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, yeah,
cool.
We're busy.
And any other final thoughts before we wrap this demo up?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, there's tons and tons and tons of stuff, but I won't bore you to tears. That's kind of the high level stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's the play is get with Bryce, go over your exact situation of how your capital's structured, who inside your operation is going to be even using this. And, see if it ends up being a good fit, but there's a lot of options. So it should be able to fit almost, most lending operations out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hi, buddy.
Well,
I
thank you so
appreciate it.
much. Likewise. Appreciate your time.
We'll talk soon. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you'd enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.